The Book of Zechariah. In the 8th month of the 2nd year of Darius, the word of Yahweh came to Zechariah the prophet, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, saying, Yahweh was very wrathful against your fathers. Therefore say to them, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, Return to me, declares Yahweh of hosts, that I may return to you, says Yahweh of hosts. Do not be like your fathers, to whom the former prophets called out, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, Return now from your evil ways, and from your evil deeds. But they did not listen or give heed to me, declares Yahweh. Your fathers, where are they? And the prophets, do they live forever? But did not my words and my statutes which I commanded my slaves, the prophets, overtake your fathers? Then they returned and said, As Yahweh of hosts proposed to do to us, in accordance with our ways and our deeds, so he has done with us. On the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month Shabbat, in the 2nd year of Darius, the word of Yahweh came to Zechariah, the prophet, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, saying, I saw at night, and behold, a man was riding on a red horse, and he was standing among the myrtle trees, which were in the ravine, with red, sorrel, and white horses behind him. Then I said, My Lord, what are these? And the angel who was speaking with me said to me, I will show you what these are. And the man who was standing among the myrtle trees answered and said, These are those whom Yahweh has sent to patrol the earth. So they answered the angel of Yahweh, who was standing among the myrtle trees, and said, We have patrolled the earth, and behold, all the earth is sitting still and quiet. Then the angel of Yahweh answered and said, O Yahweh of hosts, how long will you have no compassion for Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, with which you have been indignant these 70 years? Yahweh answered the angel who was speaking with me with good words, comforting words. So the angel who was speaking with me said to me, Call out, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I am exceedingly jealous for Jerusalem and Zion, but I am very wrathful with the nations who are at ease. For I was only a little wrathful, but they helped increase the calamity. Therefore thus says Yahweh, I will return to Jerusalem with compassion. My house will be built in it, declares Yahweh of hosts, and a measuring line will be stretched over Jerusalem. Again call out, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, My cities will again overflow with good, and Yahweh will again comfort Zion and again choose Jerusalem. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there were 4 horns. So I said to the angel who was speaking with me, What are these? And he said to me, These are the horns which have scattered Judah and Israel and Jerusalem. Then Yahweh showed me 4 craftsmen. And I said, What are these coming to do? And he said, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man lifts up his head. But these craftsmen have come to cause them to tremble, to throw down the horns of the nations who have lifted up their horns against the land of Judah, in order to scatter it. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there was a man with a measuring cord in his hand. So I said, Where are you going? And he said to me, To measure Jerusalem, to see how wide it is, and how long it is. And behold, the angel who was speaking with me was going out, and another angel was coming out to meet him, and said to him, Run, speak to that young man, saying, Jerusalem will be inhabited without walls, because of the multitude of men and cattle within it. Indeed, I, declares Yahweh, will be a wall of fire around her, and I will be the glory in her midst. Ho there, flee from the land of the north, declares Yahweh, for I have dispersed you as the 4 winds of the heavens, declares Yahweh. Woe, Zion, escape, you who are living with the daughter of Babylon. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, After glory he has sent me against the nations, which have taken you as a spoil. For he who touches you touches the apple of his eye. For behold, I will wave my hand over them, so that they will be spoil for them their slaves. Then you will know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me. Sing for joy and be glad, O daughter of Zion. For behold, I am coming, and I will dwell in your midst, declares Yahweh. And many nations will join themselves to Yahweh in that day, and will become my people. Then I will dwell in your midst, and you will know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me to you. Then Yahweh will inherit Judah as his portion in the Holy Land, and will again choose Jerusalem. Be silent, all flesh, before Yahweh, for he is aroused from his holy habitation. Then he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of Yahweh, and Satan standing at his right hand to accuse him. And Yahweh said to Satan, Yahweh rebuke you, Satan. Indeed, Yahweh who has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is this not a brand delivered from the fire? Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments, and standing before the angel. And he answered and spoke to those who were standing before him, saying, Remove the filthy garments from him. Again he said to him, See, I have made your iniquity pass away from you, and I will clothe you with festal robes. Then I said, Let them put a clean turban on his head. So they put a clean turban on his head, and clothed him with garments, while the angel of Yahweh was standing by. And the angel of Yahweh testified to Joshua, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, if you will walk in my ways, and if you will keep the responsibility given by me, then you will also render justice in my house, and also keep my courts, and I will grant you access to walk among these who are standing here. Now listen, Joshua the high priest, you and your friends who are sitting in front of you. Indeed, they are men who are a wondrous sign. For behold, I am going to bring in my servant the branch. For behold, this stone that I have put before Joshua, on one stone are 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave an inscription on it, declares Yahweh of hosts, and I will remove the iniquity of that land in 1 day. In that day, declares Yahweh of hosts, every one of you will call for his neighbor to sit under his vine and under his fig tree. Then the angel who was speaking with me returned and roused me, as a man who is roused from his sleep. And he said to me, What do you see? And I said, I see, and behold, a lampstand all of gold, with its bowl on the top of it, and its 7 lamps on it, with 7 spouts belonging to each of the lamps, which are on the top of it. Also 2 olive trees by it, one on the right side of the bowl, and the other on its left side. Then I answered and said to the angel who was speaking with me, saying, What are these, my lord? So the angel who was speaking with me answered and said to me, Do you not know what these are? And I said, No, my lord. Then he answered and spoke to me, saying, This is the word of Yahweh to Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, says Yahweh of hosts. What are you, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel you will become a plain, and he will bring forth the top stone with shouts of grace, grace to it. Also the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house, and his hands will finish it. Then you will know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me to you. For who has despised the day of small things? But these 7 will be glad when they see the plumb line in the hand of Zerubbabel. These are the eyes of Yahweh, which roam to and fro throughout the earth. Then I answered and said to him, What are these 2 olive trees on the right of the lampstand and on its left? And I answered the second time and said to him, What are the 2 olive branches which are beside the 2 golden pipes, which empty the golden oil from themselves? So he spoke to me, saying, Do you not know what these are? And I said, No, my lord. Then he said, These are the 2 anointed ones who are standing by the Lord of all the earth. Then I lifted up my eyes again, and saw, and behold, a flying scroll. And he said to me, What do you see? And I said, I see a flying scroll. Its length is 20 cubits, and its width 10 cubits. Then he said to me, This is the curse that is going forth over the face of the whole land. Surely everyone who steals will be purged away according to the writing on one side, and everyone who swears will be purged away according to the writing on the other side. I will make it go forth, declares Yahweh of hosts, and it will enter the house of the thief and the house of the one who swears falsely by my name. And it will spend the night within that house, and consume it with its timber and stones. Then the angel who was speaking with me went out and said to me, Lift up now your eyes, and see what this is going forth. So I said, What is it? And he said, This is the ephah going forth. Again he said, This is their appearance in all the land. And behold, a lead cover was lifted up, and this is a woman sitting inside the ephah. Then he said, This is wickedness. And he threw her down into the middle of the ephah, and threw the lead weight on its opening. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, 2 women were coming out with the wind in their wings, and they had wings like the wings of a stork. And they lifted up the ephah between the earth and the heavens. And I said to the angel who was speaking with me, Where are they taking the ephah? Then he said to me, To build a house for her in the land of Shinar. And when it is prepared, she will be set there on her own pedestal. Then I lifted up my eyes again, and saw, and behold, 4 chariots were coming forth from between the 2 mountains, and the mountains were bronze. With the first chariot were red horses, with the second chariot black horses, with the third white horses, and with the 4th chariot dappled horses, all of them mighty. Then I answered and said to the angel who was speaking with me, What are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said to me, These are the 4 spirits of heaven, going forth and standing before the Lord of all the earth, with one of which the black horses are going forth to the north country, and the white one goes forth after them, and the dappled one goes forth to the south country. Now the mighty ones went out, and they sought to go patrol the earth. And he said, Go patrol the earth. So they patrolled the earth. Then he cried out to me, and spoke to me, saying, See, those who are going to the land of the north have caused my spirit to have rest in the land of the north. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Take an offering from the exiles, from Heldai, Tobijah, and Jediah, and you come the same day, and come into the house of Josiah, the son of Zephaniah, where they have come from Babylon, and take silver and gold, make an ornate crown, and set it on the head of Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest. Then you will say to him, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, Behold, a man whose name is Branch, and he will branch out from where he is, and he will build the temple of Yahweh. Indeed, it is he who will build the temple of Yahweh, he who will bear the splendor and sit and rule on his throne. Thus he will be a priest on his throne, and the council of peace will be between the 2 offices. Now the crown will become a memorial in the temple of Yahweh. To Helam, Tobijah, and Jediah, and Hen the son of Zephaniah. And those who are far off will come and build the temple of Yahweh. Then you will know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me to you, and it will happen if you utterly listen to the voice of Yahweh your God. Now it happened that in the 4th year of King Darius, the word of Yahweh came to Zechariah on the 4th day of the 9th month, which is Chislev. And the town of Bethel sent Sharezer and Reglamech and their men to entreat the favor of Yahweh, speaking to the priests who belonged to the house of Yahweh of hosts, and to the prophets, saying, Shall I weep in the 5th month and abstain, as I have done these many years? Then the word of Yahweh of hosts came to me, saying, Speak to all the people of the land and to the priests, saying, When you fasted and mourned in the 5th and 7th months, then these 70 years, when you fasted and mourned in the 5th month and 7th month, these 70 years, was it actually for me that you fasted? And when you eat and when you drink, are you not eating for yourselves, and are you not drinking for yourselves? Are not these the words which Yahweh called out by the hand of former prophets, when Jerusalem was inhabited and at ease along with its cities around it, and the Negev and the Shephelah were inhabited? The word of Yahweh came to Zechariah, saying, Thus has Yahweh of hosts said, Judge with true justice, and show loving kindness and compassion, each to his brother, and do not oppress the widow or the orphan, the sojourner or the afflicted, and do not devise evil in your hearts against one another. But they refused to give heed, and turned a stubborn shoulder and dulled their ears from hearing. And they made their hearts diamond hard, so that they could not hear the law and the words which Yahweh of hosts had sent by his Spirit by the hand of the former prophets. Therefore great wrath came from Yahweh of hosts. And it happened that just as he called, and they would not listen, so they called, and I would not listen, says Yahweh of hosts. But I scattered them with a storm, wind, among all the nations whom they have not known. Thus the land is desolated behind them, so that no one was passing through and remaining, so that no one was passing through and returning, for they made the pleasant land desolate. Then the word of Yahweh of hosts came, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I am jealous with great jealousy for Zion, and with great wrath I am jealous for her. Thus says Yahweh, I will return to Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. Then Jerusalem will be called the great city of truth. And then Jerusalem will be called the city of truth, and the mountain of Yahweh of hosts will be called the holy mountain. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, Old men and old women will again sit in the streets of Jerusalem, each man with his staff and in his hand, because of his age. And the streets of the city will be filled with boys and girls playing in the streets. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, If it is too difficult in the sight of the remnant of this people in those days, will it be too difficult in my sight, declares Yahweh of hosts? Thus says Yahweh of hosts, Behold, I am going to save my people from the land where the sun rises, and from the land where the sun sets. And I will bring them back, and they will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God, in truth and righteousness. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, Let your hands be strong, you who are listening in these days to these words, from the mouth of the prophets, those who spoke in the day that the foundation of the house of Yahweh of hosts was laid, to the end that the temple might be built. For before those days there was no wage for man, or any wage for animal, and for him who went out or came in there was no peace, because of the adversary. I set all men one against another. But now I will treat the remnant of this people as in the former days, declares Yahweh of hosts. For there will be peace for the seed. The vine will yield its fruit, the land will yield its produce, and the heavens will give their due. And I will cause the remnant of this people to inherit all these things. And it will be that just as you were a curse among the nations, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so I will save you that you may become a blessing. Do not fear, let your hands be strong. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, just as I proposed to bring about evil to you, when your fathers provoked me to wrath, says Yahweh of hosts, and I have not relented, so have I again proposed in these days to do good to Jerusalem, and again to Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Do not fear. These are the things which you should do. Speak the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment for peace in your gates. And let none of you devise evil in your hearts against another. And do not love false oaths. For all these are what I hate, declares Yahweh. Then the word of Yahweh of hosts came to me, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the fast of the 4th, the fast of the 5th, the fast of the 7th, the fast of the 10th months will become joy, gladness, and merry appointed feast for the house of Judah. So love, truth, and peace. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, it will yet be that peoples will come, even to the inhabitants of many cities. The inhabitants of one will go to another, saying, Let us go at once to entreat the favor of Yahweh and to seek Yahweh of hosts. I will also go, so many peoples and mighty nations will come to seek Yahweh of hosts in Jerusalem, and to entreat the favor of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, in those days 10 men from every tongue of the nations will take hold of the garment of a Jew, saying, Let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. The oracle of the word of Yahweh is against the hand of Hadrach, with Damascus as its resting place. For the eyes of men, especially of all the tribes of Israel, are toward Yahweh, and Hamath also, which borders on it, and Tyre and Sidon, because they are very wise. So Tyre built herself a tight fortification, and tied up silver like dust, and fine gold like the mire of the streets. Behold, the Lord will dispossess her, and strike her wealth down into the sea, and she will be consumed with fire. Ashkelon will see it, and be afraid. Gaza too will writhe in great pain. Also Ekron, for her hope has been put to shame. Moreover, the king will perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon will not be inhabited, and those of illegitimate birth will inhabit Ashdod. And I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, and I will remove their blood from their mouth, and their detestable things from between their teeth. Then they also will be a remnant for our God, and be like a clan in Judah, and Ekron like a Jebusite. But I will camp around my house because of an army, because of him who passes by and returns, and no taskmaster will pass over them any more. For now I have seen with my eyes. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Make a loud shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. He is righteous, endowed with salvation, lowly and mounted on a donkey, even on a colt, the foal of a pack animal. I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the bow of war will be cut off, and he will speak peace to the nations, and his reign will be from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. As for you also, because of the blood of your covenant, I have set you prisoners, free from the waterless pit. Return to the stronghold, O prisoners, who have the hope. This very day I am declaring that I will return double to you, for I will bend Judah as my bow. I will fill the bow with a frame, and I will ruse up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O Greece, and I will make you like the mighty man's sword. Then Yahweh will appear over them, and his arrow will go forth like lightning, and Lord Yahweh will blow the trumpet, and will go in the storm winds of the south. Yahweh of hosts will defend them, and they will consume and trample on the stones of a sling, and they will drink and roar as with wine, and they will be filled like a sacrificial bowl, drenched like the corners of the altar. And Yahweh their God will save them in that day, as the flock of his people, for they are as the stones of a crown, sparkling in his land. For what goodness and what beauty will be theirs! Grain will make the choice men flourish, and new wine the virgins. Ask rain from Yahweh at the time of the late rain, Yahweh who makes the storm clouds, and he will give them showers of rain, the plant in the field to each man. For the teraphim speak wickedness, and the diviners behold false visions, and speak worthless dreams. They comfort in vain. Therefore the people journey like sheep. They are afflicted because there is no shepherd. My anger burns against the shepherds. I will visit punishment upon the male goats. For Yahweh of hosts has visited his flock, the house of Judah, and will make them like his splendid horse in battle. From them will come the cornerstone, from them the tent peg, from them the bow of battle, from them every good taskmaster, all of them together, and they will be as mighty men, treading down the enemy in the mire of the streets in the battle. And they will battle, for Yahweh will be with them, and the riders on horses will be put to shame. I will make the house of Judah mighty. I will save the house of Joseph, and I will cause them to return, because I have compassion on them, and they will be as though I had not rejected them. For I am Yahweh their God, and I will answer them. And Ephraim will be like a mighty man, and their hearts will be glad as if from wine. Indeed, their children will see it and be glad. Their heart will rejoice in Yahweh. I will whistle for them to gather them together. Okay, thank you. I will whistle for them to gather them together, for I have redeemed them, and they will be as numerous as they were before. And I will sow them among the peoples, and they will remember me in far countries, and they with their children will live and turn back. Then I will cause them to return from the land of Egypt, and gather them from Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, until no room can be found for them, and they will pass through the sea of distress. And he will strike the waves in the sea, so that all the depths of the Nile will dry up, and the pride of Assyria will be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt will depart, and I will make them mighty in Yahweh, and in his name they will walk, declares Yahweh. Open your doors, O Lebanon, that a fire may consume your cedars. Wail, O cypress, for the cedar has fallen, because the mighty trees have been destroyed. Wail, O oaks of Bashan, for the impenetrable forest has come down. There is a sound of the shepherd's wail, for their might is destroyed. There is a sound of the young lion's roar, for the pride of the Jordan is destroyed. Thus says Yahweh my God, shepherd the flock doomed to slaughter. Those who buy them slaughter them, and are not held guilty. And each of those who sell them says, blessed be Yahweh, indeed I have become rich, and their own shepherds do not spare them. For I will no longer spare the inhabitants of the land, declares Yahweh. But behold, I will cause the men to fall, each into another's hand, and into the hand of his king, and they will crush the land, and I will not deliver them from their hand. So I shepherded the flock doomed to slaughter, hence the afflicted of the flock. And I took for myself 2 staffs, the one I called favor, and the other I called union. So I shepherded the flock. Then I annihilated the 3 shepherds in 1 month, for my soul was impatient with them, and their soul also was weary of me. Then I said, I will not shepherd you. What is to die, let it die, and what is to be annihilated, let it be annihilated, and let those who remain consume one another's flesh. And I also took my staff, favor, and cut it in pieces, to break my covenant which I had cut with all the peoples. So it was broken on that day, and thus the afflicted of the flock who were watching me knew that it was the word of Yahweh. And I said to them, if it is good in your sight, give me my wages, but if not, never mind. So they weighed out 30 shekels of silver as my wages. Then Yahweh said to me, throw it to the potter, that valuable price at which I was valued by them. So I took the 30 shekels of silver and threw them to the potter in the house of Yahweh. Then I cut in pieces my second staff, union, to break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. Then Yahweh said to me, take again for yourself the equipment of a foolish shepherd. For behold, I am going to raise up a shepherd in the land who will not care for those who face annihilation, seek the young, heal the broken, or sustain the one standing, but will consume the flesh of the fat sheep, and tear off their hooves. Woe to the worthless shepherd, who forsake the flock. A sword will be on his arm, and on his right eye. His arm will be totally dried up, and his right eye will be utterly dimmed. The oracle of the word of Yahweh concerning Israel. Thus declares Yahweh, who stretches out the heavens, lays the foundation of the earth, and forms the spirit of man within him. Behold, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that causes reeling to all the peoples all around. Now the one in siege against Jerusalem will also be against Judah. But it will be in that day that I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples. All who heave it up will be severely injured, and all the nations of the earth will be gathered against it. In that day declares Yahweh, I will strike every horse with bewilderment, and his rider with madness. But I will open my eyes to watch over the house of Judah, while I strike every horse of the people with blindness. Then the clans of Judah will say in their hearts, a strong support for us are the inhabitants of Jerusalem, through Yahweh of hosts their God. In that day I will make the clans of Judah like a fiery laver among pieces of wood, and a fiery torch among sheaves. So they will consume on the right hand and on the left all the surrounding peoples, while Jerusalem will again be inhabited in its own place in Jerusalem. Yahweh also will save the tents of Judah first, so that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem will not be magnified above Judah. In that day Yahweh will defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the one who stumbles among them in that day will be like David, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of Yahweh before them. And it will be in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem, and I will pour out on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplication, so that they will look on me whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him, as one mourns for an only son, and they will weep bitterly over him, like the bitter weeping over a firstborn. In that day there will be a great mourning in Jerusalem, like the mourning of Hadad Rimmon in the plain of Megiddo. And the land will mourn, each family alone, the family of the house of David alone, and their wives alone, the family of the house of Nathan alone, and their wives alone, the family of the house of Levi alone, and their wives alone, the family of the Shemites alone, and their wives alone, all the families that remain, each family alone, and their wives alone. In that day a fountain will be opened for the house of David, and for the inhabitants of Jerusalem, for sin and for impurity. And it will be in that day, declares Yahweh of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols from the land, and they will no longer be remembered. I will also cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass away from the land. And it will be that if anyone still prophesies, then his father and mother who gave birth to him will say to him, You shall not live, for you have spoken falsely in the name of Yahweh. And his father and mother who gave birth to him will pierce him through when he prophesies. And it will be in that day that the prophets will each be ashamed of his vision when he prophesies. And they will not put on a hairy mantle in order to deceive. But he will say, I am not a prophet, I am a cultivator of the ground, for a man sold me as a slave in my youth. And one will say to him, What are these wounds struck here between your arms? Then he will say, Those with which I was struck in the house of my friends. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man, my associate, declares Yahweh of hosts. Strike the shepherd that the sheep may be scattered, and I will turn my hand against the little ones. And it will be in all the land, declares Yahweh, that 2 parts in it will be cut off and breathe their last, but the third will be left in it. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, I will answer them. I will say, They are my people, and they will say, Yahweh is my God. Behold, a day is coming for Yahweh, when the spoil taken from you will be divided among you. Indeed, I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city will be captured, the houses plundered, the woman ravished, and half of the city will go forth in exile. But those left of the people will not be cut off from the city. Then Yahweh will go forth and fight against those nations, as the day when he fights on a day of battle. And in that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which is in front of Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives will be split in its middle from east to west by a very large valley, so that half of the mountain will move toward the north, and the other half toward the south. And you will flee by the valley of my mountains, for the valley of the mountains will reach to Azal. Indeed, you will flee just as you fled before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah king of Judah. Then Yahweh my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. And it will be in that day that there will be no light, the luminaries will dwindle, and it will be a unique day, which is known to Yahweh. Neither day nor night, but it will be that at evening time there will be light. And it will be in that day that living waters will flow out of Jerusalem, half of them toward the eastern sea, and the other half toward the western sea. And it will be in summer as well as in winter. And Yahweh will be king over all the earth. In that day, Yahweh will be the only one, and his name one. And the land will be changed into a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem. But Jerusalem will rise and inhabit its site from Benjamin's gate, as far as the place of the first gate, to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the king's wine presses. And people will inhabit it, and there will no longer be anything devoted to destruction. For Jerusalem will be inhabited in security. Now this will be the plague with which Yahweh will plague all the peoples who have gone to war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they stand on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouth. And it will be in that day that abundant confusion from Yahweh will fall on them, and they will take hold of one another's hand, and the hand of one will go up against the hand of another. And Judah also will fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the surrounding nations will be gathered, gold and silver and garments in great abundance. And in the same way the plague of the horse, the mule, the camel, the donkey, and all the cattle that will be in those camps will be like this plague. Then it will be that any who are left of all the nations that went against Jerusalem will go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to celebrate the Feast of Booths. And it will be that whichever of the families of the earth does not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, there will be no rain on them. And if the family of Egypt does not go up or enter, then no rain will fall on them. It will be the plague with which Yahweh plagues the nations, who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. This will be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all the nations who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. In that day there will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, Holy to Yahweh. And the pots in the house of Yahweh will be like the bowls before the altar. And every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah will be holy to Yahweh of hosts. And all who sacrifice will come and take on them and boil in them. And there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of Yahweh of hosts in that day.